Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report on the Built-in Buffalo YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X, whatever you call it. Brought to you by Picasso's Pizza. We are Buffalo Pizza, Picasso's. I don't live in Buffalo, but when I go to Picasso's. Enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report. I'm your host, Izzy, and I am back with another show talking about the next season coming up, the 2024 NFL season for the Buffalo Bills. Our Buffalo Bills, Bills Mafia, we are here to talk and to go over the undrafted rookie free agents. We are here to go over the veteran signings that have occurred since the draft. We are here to go over the minicamp invitations. I was going to say invitees, but instead of invitations came out weird. Anyways, invitations to camp. Now, there are 10 UDFAs. There are 4 veteran signings, and then there are 5 camp invitees who are rookies out of the draft. They're not on the team yet, but they're invited to camp to try and earn themselves a spot on this roster. Now, it would be pretty impressive for a rookie who was not drafted nor signed as an undrafted rookie. It'd be impressive for one of those guys to come on to that practice field and earn themselves a spot on the 90-man roster, and then even more impressive if one of those guys showed themselves to be a fit and good enough to make it to the 53. That would be nuts. That'd be crazy, but you know what? Stranger things have happened. We've had Levi Wallace come on this team and start for a couple years for us, undrafted free agent. He wasn't even our undrafted free agent. We went and got him after the fact. And, you know, we do pretty good with those late round guys. Sometimes those UDFAs, do pretty good for us. Cam Lewis is an example of that. We have guys on this team all the time who just aren't supposed to make it, but they make it. They make it, and they do well for themselves. And sometimes they go elsewhere, and they do well with themselves there, like Tyrell Dodson this year. Now, he went and got paid by the Seattle Seahawks. After playing for the Bills for 5 years, Tyrell Dodson went out there and got his money because he had himself an awesome season this past year. He went out there and he performed to a high enough level to where some other team said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a contract. They moved on from Bobby Wagner, and they brought in Tyrell Dodson. That, to me, is impressive. Let's see. Tyrell Dodson signed a 1-year deal with the Seahawks. He's got $1 million guaranteed, 4.26 total, right? So Tyrell Dodson didn't sign a long-term deal, but he's making a little money for himself. He's making some good money for himself. There's another one. My man FG comes in. Fred Jackson, another guy who did that. This is a while ago. I'm talking specifically in the McDermott Bean era. But, yeah, we've had some guys like Fred Jackson who came on here. Jabari Greer, I believe he was undrafted. If he wasn't, he was a really late-round pick. Guys who just show up and earn themselves a spot on this roster. And, man, oh, man, it is time to talk because there are a lot of guys to talk about. There are 19 in total. So I'm going to try and get through these guys fairly quickly. But you guys know what that means. I will be off screen. So that way you can actually see what's going on, and you don't have to see this ugly one right here. Shave anyway. So here we go. First guy we brought in, the first notable guy, was Frank Gore Jr. from Southern Miss. Now, Frank Gore Jr. is not a big running back like his dad. His dad was, 5'8", 5'9", maybe 5'10", 210 pounds. He was a brick coming out of Miami. But coming out of Southern Miss, Frank Gore Jr., 5'8", 195 pounds. He's also from Miami, Florida, because his dad's from there. His dad went back home. And he played at Southern Miss, which is it's a Division I school. And I think it's an FCS school, but I'm not positive. But they played some good football. He racked up some pretty good yards. If I look at his stats, I'll pull them up for you. You can't see them, but this isn't his college. This is his pro stuff. If I go back to his college stuff, let's see. Rushing. This past year, 2023, he played 12 games. He had 231 attempts for 1,131 yards, 4.9 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns, 27 receptions, an additional 221 yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. The kid can play. He can play. He can play at the level he was at. We do not know if he can play at the NFL level, thus him not being a draft pick. Now, my man Daniel Gardies comes in and confirms Jabari Greer was a UDFA, went to win a Super Bowl with the Saints. Yes, he did. I remember that. He had an awesome year with the Bills, and then, boom. After he was with the Bills for a few years, he had that breakout season. We couldn't afford to pay him. Him and a bunch of guys left and won Super Bowls elsewhere. It was upsetting to be a Bill, but yeah. He looks like his dad. He looks just like his dad. Like a lot. He looks just like his father. And Frank Gore Sr., he came out and he said, these guys are sleeping on my son. And maybe he's right. Maybe he comes into the NFL and he balls out and has a great career. Frank Gore, to confirm, was 5'9", 212. So, yeah. That's senior. Junior is, 5'8", 195. So he's not much heavier than James Cook, if at all. And he's 3 inches shorter. So he's more of a bowling ball type back. I watched a little bit of film on him when I had the chance. I see you, Jacob. We can't see you. Yeah, I'm off screen. I don't really need to be visible for this. I like for you guys to be able to see what I'm seeing. But I'm right here. I ain't far. But he, I think, can compete to be on the 53. It's going to be between him and Ty Johnson. I see Ray Davis being RB2, and this guy and Ty Johnson battling it out for RB3. If this guy hits the practice squad, he's probably not going to be there for long. I think somebody else will scoop him up. He played very well in college. After watching his tape, he's got good hands. He's got average running back routes out of the backfield, and again, solid hands. But running the ball, he is a bit of a small truck. He's not the Silverado that Ray Davis is. He is a Toyota Tacoma. He's a smaller truck. He'll still run you over, though. But he's got moves. He moves laterally, I think, a little bit better than his father did. And to me, that's also very important. He's got to be able to get out there and put it on the field in the preseason and camp. He's got to earn it, right? Just like anybody else, Buffalo Bills make you earn it. And if you don't earn it, well, you become a practice squad guy or you're a solid young player. I think that he has a chance at RB3. He doesn't have a chance to start, in my opinion, but solid player here. Second player on the list, offensive weapon Xavier Johnson Jr. Now, I put him as offensive weapon for a reason. And the reason is he is listed as a wide receiver, but he only had like 230 yards rushing or receiving. When I look at his ticket here, 2023, he had played 13 games. He had 28 carries for 190 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, no touchdowns. He had 13 receptions, 178 yards, and 0 touchdowns, right? When I watched the film on this guy, he returns the football, and he is also a Cordero Patterson type of guy to me. One of my guys in Built in Buffalo told me Deebo Samuel. I don't see Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel catches the ball a lot. He may do it in the backfield. He may do it on a screen. He may do it, in short routes and then, carve you up. But this guy is more of a Cordero Patterson guy. I see my man Roy said camp body. I could see that being the case. He's going to have to go out there and wow us in that Cordero Patterson kind of role. But he, like anybody else, he's got a chance, but I don't see it being a big one. But not a lot to report on this guy. He's got good speed. He's got decent size. He's, I think, 6 foot. We're going to have the page over here. He is 6'2", 220 pounds. So if he wants to play some, RB, if he wants to play some of that, then he can. But, it's going to be a reach for him to get on this roster. That's how I see it for him. My man Spear Bills Talk. Jacob, I already told you, man. I'm showing off the players. I don't need to be seen for these right here. I'm doing a slideshow. I'm not so physically animated that I need to be, visible. So I think we're done with this guy here. Not a lot to report, not a lot of stats. A better runner, in my opinion, than receiver. So we'll see. If he's a running back, 6'2", 220, that's Fred Jackson type running back stuff. So big boy right there. Good for him. He got onto a roster after college, but it's going to be an uphill climb. Next, offensive lineman Keaton Bills from the University of Utah. I ain't got hair like that. And I'm wearing a hat. I mean, so like, I'm wearing a hat. So no bad hair day. But yeah, I know a lot of guys want us to draft this guy, later in the draft, just have a guy with the name Bills, free agent. As you can see here, he's got that C right there on his right shoulder pad. He is a team captain at Utah. Very, very good offensive lineman, and not necessarily NFL ready. But when I look at his information here, it says he's a left guard. He's 6'4", 321 pounds, out of Utah. He came out as a junior. His hometown is Draper, Utah. He is a better run blocker than pass blocker. Makes sense. He's a guard. He was a 3-star recruit coming out, and yeah, that's about it. You're not going to see a lot of information on these guys, but you know what? They're there and they exist. So we're going to have a chat on Frank Gore Jr. You guys can talk about him in the chat, and then I will acknowledge it. I'm very, interactive. I'll go back a few slides if I need to. It's too easy. Boom, boom. There's Frank Gore Jr. But this is going to be kind of quick on each prospect. Basically, he had the first 10 minutes, and the second guy had like a minute and a half. Just because this guy right here, I think, has an actual chance to make the roster. As does Keaton Bills. He's got a chance to make the roster as a guard. We needed some guard competition. We brought some in. We don't know what those guys are going to be. Lyle Collins has been injured for the last few years. We brought in Will Clapp. This guy's a guard, but Clapp is probably a backup center. They're also saying that Van Pran Granger is probably, or VPG as some have been calling him, is more of a center as well, but they're saying that he could probably play both with Aaron Cromer. So we'll see what happens with the versatility on that player. But Keaton Bills, very interesting prospect. The team captain thing is one of the big reasons why I think we ended up bringing this guy in. Good offensive lineman, grades decently against the run and the pass, and at his size, 320 pounds, 6'4", he is the ideal size for an offensive lineman in this scheme. Now, the Bills last year, they played some zone scheme, especially under Dorsey was around. He ran more of a zone blocking scheme. And then when freaking Joe Brady took over, the scheme shifted more to a gap type scheme. And I think he fits that right there. As my man Roy says, Keaton Bills needs some seasoning on the practice squad to compete for a backup role in a year or two. I agree, yeah. He's going to have to take that Alec Anderson route where he sits on the practice squad for a year, and then maybe, just maybe, as an inexpensive option, becomes a guard in the backup, in year 2 or 3. So we'll see what happens with him. But I really do like the signing. I think he was talented, and I thought he was draftable, but, he fell out of the draft, and that's how it works. Next is offensive lineman Gunnar Britton. I don't know what happened to the rest of his name. But he played at Auburn and Western Kentucky. His first 4 years were at Western Kentucky. And he then moved over to Auburn for his last year. In 2022, his PFF grade, his college PFF grade was an 80.7 overall, and then an 87 pass blocking grade, which ranked him 5th nationally among all tackles who played at least 20% of their team snaps. I got that from on3.com. He didn't play as good at Auburn, but it's not expected that he would because, he went from Western Kentucky to the SEC. So, when you go to the SEC, you play Bama, and you play Georgia, and you play Florida, and you play Tennessee, and you play name another team, freaking Vanderbilt, whatever. The competition goes up. His first 4 years in college, PFF grades, 68.5 as a freshman, 77.3 as a sophomore, 84.4 as a junior, 78.6 his last year at Western Kentucky, and then a 62.7 with Auburn. Not bad grades, but could be worse. Or could be worse, could be better. But again, he moved to the SEC, and yeah, this guy he really needs to develop as well on the practice squad, just like Mr. Bills. But I think that this guy right here is going to need a little bit more seasoning. I'm not sure where he played most of his snaps. If I look at him, he is a guard. So there we go. He's a guard, interior offensive lineman, Gunnar Britton. There's not a lot to find on these guys, because they're the guys who weren't projected to be drafted, most of them. I was able to find enough on Bills because of his ability to do what he needed to do and almost get drafted. But, then again, he didn't get drafted, so that's where he's at. This is where offensive lineman Gunnar Britton was, and he's just trying to get his way into the door into the NFL. He may be a practice squad guy for 3 or 4 years with us before he sees any action, if he sees any action at all. He's going to have to prove it. Next guy. Kicker, punter, Jack Browning. Now, the Bills draft or signed him, and it said punter only. He had 4 field goals this year. Okay, so he made all 4 of them. His longest field goal was 61 yards. He also kicked 3 extra points. He made all 3, from what I understand. Or he made more than 3. 23, excuse me. He kicked 23 extra points. He made all 23 in college. But punting, his longest punt was 66 yards in college, and that was against Hawaii on the 14th of October. Punt average looks like he's in the upper 50s. He got a couple other games where he had 65-yard punt, 65-yard punt, 66-yard punt, 60-yard punt, 48, 50, 51, 45, 48, 41. So, yeah, his punting average looks pretty solid. We got this guy out of another guy out of the same school that we drafted a few years ago, and we had to let him go due to circumstances that were very unfortunate for that young man in Matt Ariza, who is now a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, and we all wish that those things had not happened, but I'm glad that he was exonerated, but I'm not glad that he's a Chief. And here we are looking for another punter because our punter seems to be getting old on us real quick, and then we brought in Matt Hawk, which, God forbid, no one wants to see that guy. Hopefully we can find us a young stud and a guy like Jack Browning, not to be confused with Jake Browning of the Bengals, Jack Browning out of San Diego State University. Pretty good. Let's see. Cole Sheffer from X comes in and says, I'm super high on Keon Coleman. I think he has huge upside. You think we see an impact from him year 1 at wide receiver? I think we see an impact from him, but I don't know if it's going to be that 1,000+ yards, 8 touchdowns. I could see him racking up 600 to 800 yards. I could see him putting up 5 to 8 touchdowns. I think that's really his range right now. That Gabe Davis type of range, but fewer drop passes. I think that not having a guy like Diggs allows you to open up the offense more to other players. And the ball will be spread around more. You'll see probably Dalton Kincaid get a bunch of, targets now. That target share of 150 targets that Diggs had is going to have to be spread out amongst the rest of the guys. I could see Coleman getting 100 targets. I could see Shakir getting 100 targets. I could see Dalton Kincaid's number bumping up to 100 targets. I could see freaking Curtis Samuel seeing all of the Deontay Hardy and Trent Sherfield targets. Then there's gonna be a bunch of other guys to spread it out. Whether it's Justin Shorter or anybody else. But yeah, it is what it is. Roy Collins, yes, it is net yards 46, which isn't bad. 46 yards, punt isn't bad at all. All right, so enough of the punter, and Keon Coleman was last week. We'll talk about him maybe a little after we get through these guys. And you guys can ask questions about any one of these guys that you want during the discussion, too. If it takes me a little longer to get through them, I'm not worried about it. But go ahead and ask. I've gotten through 5 guys in 20 minutes, and the first 10 was basically Frank Gore. So we're making good time here. This guy right here, just want you guys to know, this guy right here is a traits guy. He is a traits guy. If you guys want to Google him real quick, go ahead and take a second. This guy is fast. His 40 is 4.35, right? He ran in the 100 meters 10.3 seconds. This boy right here is a speed demon. His name is Lawrence Keys. He played his last season at Tulane. Before that, he played at University of Notre Dame, Fighting Irish. This picture is from Notre Dame. I couldn't really find a lot of Tulane pictures of him that gave us good detail of what he looks like. He is not a big guy. Right? He's a smaller guy, kind of like Marquise Goodwin, but man, he can fly. He can straight up fly. He's 5'11", 170. So again, not a big dude, but that speed is blistering. Now, can he translate it onto the field? I don't know. I'm not really sure. Will he make the roster? Probably not. He's probably going to be a practice squad guy. But if he can go out there and do some damage, because in his last year at Tulane, he had 33 receptions for 599 yards, 18.2 yards per catch, 7 touchdowns. He had 4 carries, 25 yards total on the ground, average of 6.3, long of 12. Like the kid can fly. I'm sure Dorsey, or not Dorsey, excuse me, he was fired. I'm sure Brady can find a way to use him, but I think that, like my man John Roberts saying here at the bottom, Keys is a possible kick returner. That's probably where he's going to shine. Kick return and punt return are probably where he's going to shine. That means that we've brought in a lot of guys, but with the new NFL kickoff rule, we're going to have tryouts. Right? Make it fast because this guy's fast. There's no guarantee that Daquan Hardy, our 6th-round pick, is going to be our return man on both return styles. But if you need another return guy, this guy could be it. Maybe you want to put a big guy back there on kick returns because you can have 2 guys in the drop zone or the catch zone or whatever they call it. Maybe you want to have a big guy and a small guy back there who you can have one guy block and the other guy, be the speed demon. I'm not sure how the Bills are going to attack that or any other NFL teams are going to attack that. But this guy here can flat out fly. And I am pretty excited about seeing what he can do at camp and in training camp and in the preseason because we're going to see these guys all then. That's when we're going to get eyes on these boys. And so I'm excited to see some of these guys who didn't get a lot of shine in college, and sometimes those guys turn out in the NFL. Now, most likely a practice squad guy. But look out. Could surprise a bunch of us. Next, cornerback Kenny H. Lovely from the University of Western Michigan. Now, he is a smaller corner. He's 5'10", 176. He's from Boynton Beach, Florida. He went to University of Western Kentucky. He had 48 tackles and 2 interceptions. So apparently he's a good tackler, and he's pretty solid in coverage. At his size, I'm guessing in the NFL he translates as a slot corner or a nickel. That could be very well where he goes. Other than that, I couldn't find a lot of information on the kid. I do love his name, though. Kenny H. Lovely. it'd be nice to see that name Lovely on the back of our lovely Buffalo Bills uniforms. That grand blue, just with the name Lovely on the back would be nice. But outside of that, I want to see him in camp. I want to see what he does. I want to see what he's capable of. And I want to see how he carries himself. I want to see, the personality. And hopefully we get to see some of that in the tape. The Bills will highlight guys who have big personalities. And Kenny H. Lovely, you are now a Buffalo Bill. Welcome to the squad. See, the Tulane beat reporter, of course, is very high on Keys. From the interview I saw, he missed some time due to injury. Yeah, he did miss some time due to injury. I did see that as well. But still, solid season, 33 catches, 599 yards, 7 tutties, receiving, and blazing 4.35 speed. Yeah, I'm all for it. Now, next guy, defensive lineman Branson Dean from the University of Miami / Purdue. This kid here is a defensive line depth piece. In my opinion, he's a practice squad guy. We've got our 4 veterans on the team already, and Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, Austin Johnson, and I forget the other guy we signed. Bills DTs. Let's see. Daquan Jones, Austin Johnson, Deshaun Williams. There we go. Came from the Panthers. And then drafting Dwayne Carter and having Eli Anku, it's going to be an uphill climb for any undrafted rookies to climb this roster as a defensive tackle. He's going to be a practice squad guy. Like, there's just too many bodies on this team. When do you think they'll sign Josh Norman? So if these rookie corners and Kyrie Elam don't show him anything, I could see us signing Josh Norman at the end of training camp and at the end of the preseason to the practice squad, and they'll roll with who they got until he's needed. But I could see them bringing him back to the practice squad. He's basically in the NFL for the love of the game, which I absolutely love about him. I love that about him. But Branson Dean from Miami, likely a practice squad guy. He's going to have to go out there and absolutely dominate, very much like Victor Cruz did for the Giants when he came in as a UDFA, and they thought they had their wide receiver core set, and then he went out there and just blew the doors off everybody. This guy's going to have a preseason and a camp like that. But on the practice squad, yeah, I think he's going to be there. Yeah. All right, next guy. Offensive tackle Mike Edwards. Now, I love this pickup. Reason why I love this pickup is because he is local to me. I live in Cameron, North Carolina, which is in my part of Cameron is in Harnett County, North Carolina, which is just north of Fayetteville, just north of Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg. I still call it Fort Bragg, whatever. He's about 25 minutes up the road from me. He actually went to high school right here in the Fayetteville area. About 20 minutes from my house is Southview High School. I love seeing guys who are from places where I've lived make it, it gives me a little bit of pride in the area I live at. And, yeah, this guy right here has some potential to be on the practice squad. I don't think he's going to make the active roster. But when I look at him, and I'll go over Branson Dean one more time real quick because I didn't give the size on him. Let me go back to Branson Dean real quick. Branson Dean is 6'2", 280. He's from Indianapolis, Indiana. He had 12 total tackles, or 18 total tackles, 6 of them solo and 2.5 sacks. So he was a rotational piece in Miami. I don't see him, blowing up here in Buffalo. But back to Mr. Mike Edwards, the second Mike Edwards on this team, first one being a safety, of course, is 6'7", 355 pounds in his hometown. It is Hope Mills, North Carolina, in Hope County, North Carolina, 2 counties down from me. He was a 2023 preseason first-team All-American. I don't know what that means. He had a bunch of preseason awards for, I think, Division III football. So I believe Campbell is Division III or Division II. Let me see. I'm going to look that up now. I believe they're Division I baseball, though. They're like a top 15 baseball team every year. Let me see. University football. Nope, it's Division I football. Okay. It's an FCS school. So he's an FCS player. He went to Wake Forest before that. And in order to play, he went to Campbell. And, yeah, I don't think he makes the roster. He may make the practice squad. I have high hopes for the kid because he's local to me again. But, yeah, he played for the Camels. And, yeah, go Bills. Welcome to the team, Mike Edwards. Now, the last UDFA, and I'm hoping to get through all my UDFAs within the 35 minutes, which this is the last one. It's defensive end David Ogwegbu from University of Houston / the University of Oklahoma. He is a Sooner and a Cougar, I think the Houstons are. Let me see. I gotta look him up again. I think I deleted his Ogwegbu. Draft Combine Prospect. Pull up that page real quick so I can go over that. At the Combine, he measured at 6'4", 250 pounds with 33 3/4 inch arms, 10 1/4 inch hands. He did not grade great production, athleticism, or total score, so he's likely a camp body. He had 3 sacks in 2023, and he was draft projected as a free agent priority. So again, he's going to have to go in there. He's going to have to shine like crazy in order to make this team. Not saying that he can't do that, but the likeliness is not really there. He had 41 total tackles, 28 solo, 13 assisted tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 3 passes defense, meaning I guess he gets his hands up. So, good for him, but it's going to be a climb. It's going to be a climb for him to make this roster. And so I don't see it happening, but if he does, do a Wayne Brady person. Does Wayne Brady have to choke a bitch? Yeah, I get it. I speak very proper and clear. I get it. It's okay. All right, what it is, Keaton Bills. I already went over Keaton Bills. He was my third guy, man. I went in order that they had him listed. So Keaton Bills is my third guy. I think he has a chance to make the main roster, but it's slim. I think he would most likely sit on the practice squad for a year, maybe 2. He's going to go the Alec Anderson route, and then hopefully, potentially find his way on the field. If we have some injuries, I think he's a good enough guy on the practice squad to work his way up. Now that we're done here with these guys, and I'm back for a second, we have the free agents that we signed that are not UDFAs. They are veteran free agents. There are 4 of them, 2 wide receivers. There are a defensive end, and then there's a linebacker. Yeah, we have a linebacker, defensive end, 2 wide receivers. Now, the first one, I'm going back into the dungeon, guys. First one is Quintez Cephas from the University of Wisconsin. Comes to us by way of the Detroit Lions, as you can see on the screen here. He was suspended last year due to a gambling incident, which cost him a year. He hasn't really had top tier or even average tier production in the NFL. He has nothing to see on PFF for his PFF grades in 2023 because he didn't play, obviously. The year before that, he had 3 targets, 2 receptions, and 15 yards. The year before that, in 2021, he had 22 targets, 15 receptions, 204 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's here basically for potential upside. He is 6'1", 208, so he's a good size wide receiver. He's not big or small. He's basically average. He was drafted in 2020 in the 5th round by the Detroit Lions. His overall grade, his last season that was any good, was a 71.7, and his receiving grade was a 70.9. Passer rating when targeted, though, was a 127.8. So I think that they're looking at the upside on this guy. Quintez Cephas is a guy that you bring in here just to see if Josh can use him, right? Because he was in Detroit, before Dan Campbell, I believe, was there, or maybe he was there his first year. And the Lions just weren't very good. They weren't very good. And so this is a guy that they're just throwing, darts at the board to see who it hits, and maybe, just maybe, it works out for him. I don't think any of the veteran free agents that we brought in, aside from two of them, and that's both of the defenders, are really going to get a shot to make this roster. I mean, they all have a shot, but they're, this guy's going to have to really make a difference to make the team. So the next guy that we signed was linebacker Deion Jones. This was the first one I saw, and then the big splash that everybody saw that I guess is a big splash, but isn't really a big splash because production is the last couple of years. We'll talk about him when we get to him. But linebacker Deion Jones, who had his best years with the Falcons, and this is the best picture I could find of him, so I picked it because people are tired of the whole Buffalo Bills, Carolina Panthers connection. It's not really there anymore. This guy was a Falcon when McDermott was a Panther. He's got 8 years in the NFL. He played at LSU, 6'1", 227. So he's right around the size of a Matt Milano, a Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams. He's that size guy. He's got 4.59 speed. His real production years were in Atlanta. His first 5 years were outstanding. Outstanding. His pass defense grade is really where he shines, though, lately. His first few years, he had 2 good years that were in coverage. One of them was an excellent year, his rookie year, which was a 91.4 coverage grade. That's awesome. But the rest of it is kind of, scattershot with his production. He had a few years where he was hurt, so his run defense grade struggled, but his tackling was up. I'm guessing that he was kind of, slowed down and had to make tackles beyond the line of scrimmage. But last year, his tackling grade was pretty poor, 32.2, but his run defense grade was a 48.6, so not good either. His pass rush grade is 64.7, not bad. He can play, so I guess that means he can play Sam if we go into base formation at all. He can be a Sam guy. His coverage grade was 63.4, not bad. Not bad for what we would be asking him to do, but we're also going to ask you to tackle, buddy, so you need to get better if you want to make this dang team. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. Actually, I think that was his week-to-week grade this year. My bad. That was his week-to-week grade. Wow, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay. Last year, coverage grade 76.7, pass rush grade 72.8, tackle grade 47.1, run defense grade 43.8, defensive grade 66.3. I was looking at his game grades. Wow, guys. Sorry about that. He played in a handful of games last year. The last game of the season, where I guess he was fully healthy, was his best game, where his defensive grade was a 91.4, his run defense grade was a 60, his tackling grade was a 76.9, his pass rush grade was a 55.6, and his coverage grade was a 91.4. That was one game. So my bad, guys. I was reading that wrong. It is what it is podcast. Hey, man, I've heard that before. My man Lance pitched that to me at one point. That's potentially something in the future. You never know. Deion Jones' best years are behind him. I think so, too. The injuries seem to have caught up to him. But this year, as he got healthy, he got better over this year. So I think as a backup, we could do much worse. We could do like A.J. Klein worse. Like, we could do much worse. So I think Deion Jones could earn himself a backup spot, but that's the best it could be. He could actually also end up on the practice squad. If that happens, he might just retire, though. Like I would, if I was 11 years in and can't make a roster, and there's a bunch of young guys on that roster like Bale Inspector, and it's like, yeah, it's time to hang him up. This is a young man's game. It is what it is. Now, next guy, Dwayne Smoot from the University of Illinois, formerly of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this guy is a pretty big defensive end, 6'3", 264. Not huge, but, not small either. Good size defensive end, 4.77 speed. Played for the Illini. Drafted in 2017 by the Jaguars. His PFF grade this year was pretty trash. He doesn't have a lot of stats, though, so I'm guessing he was injured, maybe. I'm going to go ahead and pull up his premium stats. It's because I can, because I have an account, and that's what I do. Yeah, he didn't play every game this year, and he was pretty scattershot. I've seen a lot of people say they're kind of excited about him. His pass rush grade 2022 and 2021 was pretty good. This past year was pretty bad. I don't know if that's due to declination or if that's due to injury, which I'm guessing is due to injury because you usually don't see a sharp decline like that, and then a bunch of games missed, and then a sharp decline in snaps. Like he had in 2022, he had 132 run defense snaps. He had 299 pass rush snaps. This year, he had 87 and 230. So, like, it went down by a third. It was not a good year for him. And so, I like the prospects of him being here. I don't necessarily see him beating out a Hill even for the main roster. He had 3 QB hits and 1 sack this year. I don't think that's going to be enough to unseat Greg Rousseau. I don't think that's going to be enough to unseat Von Miller or AJ Epinesa or Casey Hill or even the guy we drafted in Solomon and was it Javon Solomon. So I don't see any of those guys being, unseated by this guy. I know a lot of guys are excited by the guy, and that's fine. I'm not going to down you for that. He had a couple of pretty good years before, but the question is he declining or was he just injured? And if he's injured, can he recover? Excuse me. Now, last guy who was signed as a veteran is Chase Claypool. Bring myself back on the screen here. This guy is the guy that he is the most controversial one of the guys that we brought in. Wide receiver Chase Claypool from the University of Notre Dame. I'm going to see something. I'm going to try something out. Yep, that don't work. To heck with it. We'll put that back there, though. Let's go Redzone report. All right, so the last few years have been tumultuous, to say the least, for Chase Claypool. This past year, he played for the Dolphins and the Bears. He was traded to the Dolphins from the Bears. He had 19 targets on the year, 8 receptions, 77 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 drop. So 19 targets, 1 drop. That's not terrible, but percentage-wise, yards per reception, 9.6. Yards after the catch, 3.3. Passer rating when targeted, 32. This guy has played with some bad quarterbacks. I know a lot of you guys are big on Justin Fields, and I'm not. I never have been. I don't see it. I thought he could have been really good if he had gotten to the right team at the right time. Maybe he still can be saved. But I think that the Bears really ruined Justin Fields' career. A lot, kind of like we did with J.P. Losman, kind of like we did with E.J. Manuel, guys who had potential but just never really got to realize it because the coaching did not believe in those guys, and they really didn't get to develop. And J.P. Losman, I guess his first year as a starter, Mike Mularkey did believe in him, but then he resigned, and J.P. Losman did one of these. And I think that in that Mularkey offense, he could have grown, but he didn't get the chance, and then new guys came in, and it was Trent Edwards from that point forward. So I think that the Bears did wrong by Justin Fields. Then they went and got Chase Claypool to try and help him out, but now they've gone and they've stacked the entire team, the entire offense for Caleb Williams. So I mean, good luck to Caleb Williams there. Good luck to Justin Fields in Pittsburgh, which is where Claypool originally played. He had 2 good seasons his first 2 years. See, if Claypool can't shine with Tua as his QB, then he'll never amount to anything in the NFL. I hope you're obviously being sarcastic. I hope. But Chase Claypool, he's got potential. He's from Canada, right? 6'4", 238 pounds. I don't know if you guys have seen this guy's physique. He is a Greek statue of a god. Oh, Jesus. Phone's ringing. Don't worry about it. Both phones ringing. All right. Let's look at his previous years, right? I'm going to go to pull up his premium stats, and I'll go over them. This year is not worth looking at, so no one cares. Last year, season grades, he had all right, going back to this. Last year, he had 76 targets, caught 46 of them, 451 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 2 drops. 9.8 yards per reception. Yards after the catch was 3.1, and his passer rating when targeted was 54.2. So better. We go a year before that, 2021. This year he was still with the Steelers, I'm pretty sure. I see Chase Claypool, 2021 with Pittsburgh. Numbers are much better. 103 targets, 59 receptions, 860 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 drops. All right, clean that crap up, young man. 14.6 yards per reception, so that's up. 5.3 yards after the catch, that's up. And 78.9% passer rating when targeted, that's up. So he's gotten progressively worse every year. First couple years, he had Ben Roethlisberger, then his Kenny Pickett, and then it hit the fan. His first year, 2020, his rookie year, when he showed the most promise, obviously, he had 103 targets, 62 receptions, 873 yards, 9 receiving touchdowns. If he can get back to that, if he gets here, he does that, he's potentially wide receiver 2 or 3. Potentially. If we can get 2020 Chase Claypool to show up, along with Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Dalton Kincaid, this team can be scary. Chase is a 4.42 40. That's the same as Khalil Shakir. Same as Khalil Shakir and James Cook. He has the best chance this year to save his career. He's with Josh Allen this year. The only thing that he could do better than Josh Allen, potentially, is Patrick Mahomes. That's it. One sec. I don't know what it is about talking to you guys, but it makes me blow my nose. But I think that this guy right here, if, it's a big if, nope, that's not what I want. I want that one. There we go. If Chase Claypool can get back to that 2020 form, if he can get his head out of his backside and take it serious, go out there and play with that quarterback named Josh Allen. I see you down here, Richardson. Claypool will have a good year. None of his QBs were ever Josh Allen. And the word ever I put in there, it needs to be in there. Were ever Josh Allen. Not a single one of them was. I think that Chase Claypool could. He has a very good chance to make this roster if he can get his head out of his ass and do what he's supposed to do. I think that he has a chance. This right here is the most likely free agent that we brought in so far who could potentially start for this team. Imagine 3 wides. A 2020 version of Chase Claypool, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, at tight end Dalton Kincaid, and in the backfield James Cook. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. I like the chances of that. If I go back, Chase Claypool, his rookie year, passer rating when targeted, 116.7. He was potentially a go-to guy. And now, he's a laughingstock. He's a meme. It's tough. But I think Chase Claypool has a very good chance. Very good chance. Now, done with these veterans. We're now going to the mini camp bodies. They're literally camp bodies. It's rookie mini camp. These guys were invited to rookie mini camp to show their stuff. I picked my favorite pictures of these guys that I could find. There weren't a lot of them that I could find, so here we go. Cornerback Sheridan Jones. He looks so happy in that photo. And I'm glad he looks happy because when I looked him up, he actually had a NFL Draft Buzz profile. They actually scouted this guy. He is an outside man press corner, so a Kaiir Elam type. He's 6 foot, 184 pounds. He played all the way through his senior year in college. He had 1 interception this past year. He had 1 pass defense. He had 23 tackles and 15 of them solo. He is where's his age? Age 23. So he'll be 24 in August. His grades are 78% tackling, run defense 72, coverage grade 67, zone coverage 62, man press coverage 68. So he's a man press corner. Coming out of high school, he was a 4-star recruit. 4-star recruit. And the player similarities are Darrell Luter Jr. from South Alabama, Nick Jones from Ball State, and Jeremy Lucien. I don't know any of those guys, so I'm sure they may be coming out next year. But I like the prospects of this kid here. I like the prospects of this kid. What was his speed? His 40 time, 4.67. That's probably why he fell out of the draft. Because I remember him in the draft, and I looked at him at draft. Yee! To me, he's like Kyer Elam in Levi Wallace's body. You know? He's not as fast as Elam, not even close. He's got the same skill set, but he's got the speed of a Levi Wallace. From what I saw, he got signed by the Bills. He was on the list I saw. I went through Buffalo Rumblings. I know that they fired all their content creators, but they still have news, and they're still making news. So you can read their articles. And he was on the list of guys who got invited to camp. He's not signed. He is a camp invitation. So, yeah, this is my first camp invite guy. Him and the rest of the guys I go over will all be guys who were just invited to camp. And so if he can go out there and show he's got the skills and has the game speed, because he obviously does not have the track speed. If he can go out there and show he has the game speed to play, maybe he makes the practice squad. Maybe he makes the practice squad. But this was my favorite picture of him. He's so happy. And I actually had a profile of him, and I'm happy that I got a profile of him because not everybody did. I get one. There's not one on everybody, especially these guys who were undrafted. Like a lot of them were meant to be undrafted. When you go to info.com, a lot of those guys who went, like Frank Gore, they said this guy is a priority free agent after the draft. Sheridan Jones, he's got potential, but he's slow, like literally slow when it comes to foot speed on a track. Let's see what he does at camp. Now, next guy, quarterback Gunnar Watson from the University of Troy. He had a solid season last year. I'll say that. Last year, he had 268 completions on 429 attempts for 61% of his completions, or a completion rate of 61%. He had 3,569 total yards, 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. His longest pass was 64 yards. He was sacked 24 times. His passer rating was 146.9, and his QBR was a 64. So not bad. Not bad. I could see him being on the practice squad. He's going to end up going against Buchel, whoever that guy is on our team, the last guy. I forget his name. I think he came from the Chiefs or something like that. But he's a quarterback on our team. And this guy could challenge him for that practice squad QB. This guy could practice squad QB. Could be that challenge at practice squad QB. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I think that this kid right here has got potential to be a backup one day. I think he's very raw coming from, the Sun Belt and coming from Troy. But, man, this kid right here is a good quarterback at the level he's played. Now, if he doesn't make the NFL, the UFL, and the, it's just the UFL now. It was the XFL and the USFL, but now it's the UFL. Are potential landing spots for him later in the future. But this kid right here in the Sun Belt, he played very well. So glad to have him as a camp invite. Not super high on him, but I like it. Played 6 years at Troy. A lot of people don't like that whole playing 6 years in college. I kind of do. Reason why I do is he's a quarterback. They tend to last a little longer in the NFL, right? If they play an entire career. And so he's 24. Not bad. Not bad at all. He's 24 years old, probably. And I'm going to go ahead and bring back that thing of him. He's 6'3", 210. He's from Butler, Georgia. Troy University Athletics. He is Where's his age? I don't want news. I want. Let's see. USA Today. Do I have his age? Nope. I don't see his age anywhere. So we'll assume it's like 24, 25 years old. He played all those years in college. He's 24. There we go. I was right. He's 24. He played 6 years in college, which means that he's had plenty of time to sit there and develop in the collegiate game. And to me, I think that's important for quarterbacks. If you can get more time to develop, so be it. Question is, what scheme did he run at Troy? I don't know. It's the Sun Belt. Was it a pro-style scheme or was it more of an air raid, West Coast? We'll soon see what he can do at camp, and if he can secure a spot on the 50, not the 53, the 90-man roster. Now, next guy. This is my favorite picture of Stephen Hillis. No relation to Peyton Hillis, linebacker from South Dakota. I love it because he's there with his American flag on him and supporting the U.S. Marine Corps. I am a former U.S. Army sergeant. Spent 13 years active duty in the military, did 3 combat tours. So to see a young football player coming out of college supporting the military, it warms my heart. It really does. This right here, gives me the chills. I love it. Stephen Hillis, thank you so much for the support to veterans and the military, even if it's the Marines. I know if it was an Army thing, you'd probably still do the same thing because you're just supporting your country. The American flag, love it. Stars and Stripes. Let's go ahead and get into the. Here we go. We got a comment here. Most players take the extra 2 years, especially now because of NIL. Good for them. Good for them. Thank you, William. I appreciate that. A lot of us guys in the military, we do it. We call it a job. It's our job, but we understand that it means more to our civilian friends. And, yeah, I do appreciate that. Doug, Augie, appreciate it. Yeah, it means a lot to us. I'll tell you this. About the military thing, right? While we're serving, the thank you for your service doesn't really mean as much to us, right? Because we're still serving. So it's like, this is our job. We're just doing our job. When you get out of the military is really when that hits you, where it's like, oh, I get it. Okay, because I'm not that anymore. I know how special that is because I was that. And now I say thank you for your service to every veteran I come across, even though I'm also a veteran. It's like, it means the world. Whenever I see a Vietnam vet, I tell them, welcome home. They never got their welcome home. Nowadays, we love our troops. And so, a lot of those guys back then, they didn't get their flowers. They didn't get their love. So it means the world to me to see guys like this, young people just appreciating military service. It means the world to me. It really does. Now, to his numbers, Stephen Hillis is 6'1", 235. So kind of a Tyrell Dodson size comparison guy. He's from Nebraska in Hartlington. He had 11 tackles this past year, 1 sack, 0 interceptions. So most likely, I hate to say it because you're supporting my guys, Peyton, or not Peyton. No, he's not related to Stephen Hillis. Or he's not related to Peyton Hillis. Stephen Hillis. No offense to him. He is going to have to go in there and really show out. He's going to have to go there and really show out. Now, his film must have been pretty decent for the Bills to go get him. Right? But I'm telling you, the kid, if he can ball, he'll show it in camp, and they'll sign him to the 50, the 90. I keep saying the 53. The 53 is exclusive, baby. Like, most of these guys are not making the 53, if any of them. There's a chance that none of the guys on this list that I've shown today make this roster. There's a pretty good chance that happens. There's 2 or 3 guys who could make the 53 on this list here. Maybe 4. But they have a hill to climb. One hell of a hill. This is the Bills. This isn't the freaking the Vikings this year. This isn't the freaking name a bad team. This isn't the Bears of 2 years ago. This isn't the Raiders. Like, this team you're going to need to really show out to make this roster. And so this guy's probably going to training camp. potentially maybe the practice squad, but he may not even make that. He may not even make. We have a lot of guys who are practice squad eligible, and yeah. Do you think Gore Jr. has enough juice to stick with the team? I think he does. I think he's a practice squad guy potentially, but I also think that he is competing with Ty Johnson for RB3 as of right now. Unless we bring in another running back, it's him and Ty Johnson for RB3. I think Ray Davis is going to be RB2. I don't think there's even a debate for that. I'll put myself back on the screen again. I don't think that it's a debate that Ray Davis is going to be RB2. I think it's not close. It's going to be Cook, it's going to be Davis, and then it's going to be either Gore Jr. or Ty Johnson. And the one who loses out will be on the practice squad. But I do like Gore Jr.'s playing style. He's not afraid to contact. I like this tape. But it was, again, against those lower end teams. And he played at Southern Miss, so it wasn't, I even got confused when I first started doing this presentation I made. Like I was making this presentation, and I was going off the top of the head. I thought he played at Georgia Southern for a second. And I was looking, I was like, oh snap, he played at Southern Miss. Wow, I almost Tyler Bass this kid. But yeah, I think that there's a chance he makes it to the 53 if he can beat Ty Johnson. But Ty Johnson played so good last year under Joe Brady. I don't know if that's possible. Excuse me again, blow my nose. Y'all don't need to hear that. Anyway, are the Bills at 90 players? I don't think so. I think we're like 82. We might be at 86 after these last few signings. But yeah. Ray is a bit injury prone. It's possible. But I like Ray. Yeah, I'm 90% sure we're not at 90 players. I'll say that. All right, next player on the list. Defensive end Nelson Paul from SMU. And I have some numbers on this guy. He had 12 solo tackles and 4.5 sacks this past year. So to me, he played better than the other defensive end that we signed off the street, off the undrafted free agent. So if I go back to this guy right here, David Ogwobu, he only had like 1 sack. If you go to this guy here, he had 4.5. He played at SMU. He played in the Big 12, I think. And out of the Big 12, what is SMU? What conference is SMU? The Conference USA? Nope, they're in the American Athletic Conference. So formerly the Big East, the AACF or AAC. So yeah, he's up there with see that. They're in the AAC. See, Navy's over there, Central Florida's there, Cincinnati's there. Come on now. Memphis is there. So SMU, Tulane, University of Texas, San Antonio, Memphis, South Florida, Rice, Navy, North Texas, Florida Atlantic, UAB, Tulsa, Charlotte, Temple, and East Carolina are all in the American Athletic Conference. So it's not a really strong conference, but it could be weaker. Rice is there, Navy, North Texas. Those are kind of the weaker teams. But, like Tulsa's a solid team. They usually play solid most years. This year, not so good. But SMU, Tulane, UTSA, Memphis, solid teams. So not a terrible conference, but could be word. Yeah, I think it was 82 before we signed Cephas, Claypool, Deion Jones, and Smoot. Right. So Nelson Paul, decent numbers over at SMU. Let's see. Not a lot of other information out there. We'll see what happens. Southern Methodist University. My daughters go to just Methodist University, so they're better. But yeah. Next guy, last guy on my list. I told you guys last week I was going to do this, and I was looking to cover something else, and I decided, you know what? I told them I was going to cover the UDFAs, signees, and minicamp guys, and I am a man of my word. I held to my word. Last guy here. Camp invitee. Al-Fahim Walcott. So super Muslim, Islamic, Arabic first name, regular ass last name, Walcott. Al-Fahim Walcott. Now, he played at the University of Arkansas. He also played at Baylor, right? So he played at Baylor in Arkansas. This past year, he had 56 total tackles, 34 of them solo. He had 3 interceptions. He had 32 yards off those interceptions and a touchdown. He is a safety, right? He's from Wilmington, North Carolina. Oh, snap. He's from Wilmington. All right, cool. All right, not too far from me. A couple hours at the beach. Hometown of Michael Jordan. Let's go. He had 2 passes defended, 6'2", 210 again. He was a senior, played at Arkansas and Baylor. This guy might have a chance to get on the 90-man roster. You are correct. Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders both went to SMU. Who all did we sign? I will go over the signees, the UDFAs, and the signees again just to list them again. Also have to go back and watch the show to get the breakdowns of those guys with the limited information that I could find on the UDFAs. The pro guys, I had PFF for them, so it was no big deal. But the one I went over the most was probably Frank Gore Jr., so you know we signed him. But if you're looking for just the veterans, it was Chase Claypool, it was Quintez Cephas, it was Smoot, defensive end from the Jaguars. I can't remember his first name. I'll go back. Dwayne Smoot and Deion Jones, linebacker, formerly of the Panthers and the Falcons. All right, so Al-Fahim Walcott from Arkansas is a safety. He's clearly a safety. He's going to be a safety. I like the pick, actually, to bring him to camp because of the playability. Let's see if I can get a 40 time on this guy. Maybe he ran at his 4.7140. Let's see. Oh, I got a draftscout.com breakdown on him. Combine invite, no. There's almost nothing on him. Yeah. He's going to protect as a safety. He'll be a guy that maybe can make the 90-man roster and then probably a practice squad guy because at safety, I think we're set. I think we're set with, Mike Edwards. I think we're set with Taylor Rapp. I think we're set with Cole Bishop. I think we're set with either DeMar Hamlin or Cam Lewis. And then we also picked up some other DBs, UDFAs. So where was he? Okay, no, we did not pick a safety UDFA. The only defensive back that we picked up as UDFA was Kenny H. Lovely, Western Michigan. He's probably a slot corner. He's a nickelback. So just to go over the list one more time, guys. Frank Gore Jr. is the guy who I believe is most likely to make this roster. As RB3, I think he's just the most likely guy to do it. Good luck to him. Xavier Johnson, far shot, very long shot to make his roster. Basically, he's Cordell Patterson, but he's going to have to prove himself to be as good as Cordell Patterson in this game, at camp to get onto the 90-man roster. Keaton Bills, love this guy. Think he's going to be a good practice squad guy for a couple years. Maybe make the regular roster. Gunnar Britton, he's going to need a lot of time in the practice squad if he even makes it, but he's got potential. Played at Western Kentucky and Auburn, was much better at Western Kentucky, but Auburn seemed to be a bit much, so when his competition went up, his play kind of dropped a little bit, but still. Jack Browning, I hope he pans out. I hope that he makes this roster because I cannot stand what I'm seeing at punter with Sam Martin. Sorry, Sam, if you're watching. If you're better than you are last year, maybe you were hurt or something, maybe you make this roster and you do better. Matt Hawk, please no. Please no. My God. Horrible punter. Good holder. Elite holder. Hopefully this guy can come in here and do a good job and take that job. And we'll have a young punter that we can count on for the foreseeable future. If not, you put him on the practice squad and teach him how to hold for a year, and then you bring him up next year. That would be it for me. And like Daniel Gari said right here, hit that like button, guys. Show some love. I love all of you guys. Hack is worso. You're damn right he's worso. No, he's a good holder, but man, he can't punt to save his life. That's the name of his job is punt. Punter. Horrible. Then Lawrence Keys, speed demon. Very good speed. Kick return. Probably a slot receiver type. Not a lot of size to him. 5'11", I think it was 180 or something like that. Or not a big guy, but like he will kill you with speed if you let him. If you let him get by you, it's over. Kenny H. Lovely, wonderful name. Probably a slot corner, decent stats. Has a chance to make the practice squad. I don't think he's making it to the 53. I think Jamarcus Ingram has a way better shot of making it to the 53 than this guy does, and we may bring in somebody else to challenge as well. We'll see. Defensive lineman Branson Dean, University of Miami. To me, he's a camp body. He'll be a practice squad guy potentially, but no promises. We have a defensive lineman we drafted in Dwayne Brown, along with Johnson, along with Austin Johnson. Yeah, I already went over this before, but there's 4 guys that we have on the team that are veterans, and then the rookie, and then Eli Anku. This guy's a practice squad guy at best, but if he goes out there and he balls out and proves me wrong, hell yeah. I have no idea if he's held. If not, you set him on the practice squad for a year, and you bring him on next year. You teach him for a year to hold. That's it. You just roll with Hawk or Martin, who could potentially return to form. Yeah. Mike Edwards, right here in the North Carolina Triangle area. He's from Hope Mills, went to Campbell University, which is right up the road. Both those are right up the road. Actually, his hometown of Hope Mills is only about 40 minutes away, and Campbell is about 25. Let's go Camels. Offensive tackle Mike Edwards. Practice squad guy, probably for a year, maybe 2. If he can develop, he can develop. If he can't, it was nice to see him on the field with the Bills. Give it a shot. Maybe you see him in the UFL. But it'd be nice if he can, get to that point where he can be on this roster, even if it's just as a backup, maybe a swing tackle, and put something together. It'd be nice. And David Ogwegbu, I don't really see him making the team. Maybe the practice squad, but I don't see that either. I think Javon Solomon is that draftee of Javon Solomon is going to keep this guy off the roster. Was not impressed by his numbers, so there's that. Quintez Cephas, we're taking a shot at his tangibles, his speed, his size, his physical abilities. We're taking a shot at that. We're throwing darts at this one. Deion Jones, older linebacker, better than A.J. Klein. If we have injuries like we did last year, this guy can step in and play some coverage for you. He's not really the best tackler. He's not really the best against the run, but he can rush the passer off the side, off the edge as a weak side linebacker or a strong side linebacker, and he can cover. So that's who he is. He's here passing downs. You need an extra linebacker out there. You throw him out there. He can cover the field. That's about what he's good for. Could he make the team? He could. Will he? Yet to be seen. We'll see. Dwayne Smoot had a not-so-good year last year. Very bad year. The years before that were pretty solid for Jacksonville. He's got an uphill battle to make this roster. We'll see what happens with him. Chase Claypool, I think, along with Frank Gore Jr., has one of the best chances to make this roster. If he can return to that 2020, 2021 form, watch out. This kid could be a beast for us. He has yet to play with a quarterback of the caliber of Josh Allen since Ben Roethlisberger, and that was old-ass Ben Roethlisberger, not young Ben Roethlisberger. He played with the old version of him that was trash, but still a good enough quarterback to read the field and place the ball where it needed to be. He just wasn't able to move around like he used to. He wasn't able to launch it with the velocity and speed that he used to. So We'll see what happens. I like the signing. You get him for, I believe, the vet minimum. Let me check that out real quick. Chase Claypool contract. I'm willing to bet it's the vet minimum. Let's see. Oh, they didn't have his contract yet. He's likely a vet minimum guy. I doubt that they signed him to any significant money. And I'm willing to bet that he came to Buffalo for the chance to play with an elite quarterback that can finally help him get to where he needs to be. Let's see. We're going to make a move June 1st. No way we're taking $10 million in cap space into the season. I think it's very possible because you want to have at least $6 million for operating procedures through the season, just in case someone gets hurt. You got to bring somebody on the roster. You got to pay them that money. There's still a difference in there, even though the money's prorated. You're still paying the other guy because their money's guaranteed or something like that. You want to walk into the season with about $6 million in cap space. Now, does that mean they can't spend the other $4 million? No, it doesn't mean that at all. They can, but I don't see them spending $10 million either. We'll see what happens. There's a lot to be seen. But yeah, he has the best opportunity, in my opinion, to make this team so long as he can return to form. If he can go out there, positive attitude, get with Josh, and Josh will be like, yo, this guy has so much potential. Let's see if we can get it out of him. If he can squeeze blood from a stone, squeeze it. Squeeze that stone. And then Sheridan Jones, I think that he is a practice squad guy. I love his mentality, love his skill set, but he's just not fast enough to be a man cover corner in this league, I don't think, unless you're running cover 2-man and you have a safety help over the top. But we'll see. You never know. His play speed could be way better than his 40 time, so we'll see. Gunnar Watson, I see him as a potential practice squad quarterback. He's going to have to go against Shane Buechele for that spot, but I haven't really seen much, if any, of Shane Buechele, so I'm not really worried about which one it is, but I do like the 6 years of production in college for Gunnar Watson. We'll see what happens. Stephen Hillis, another dart at the board to see if you get somebody. Not a lot of production in college, but we'll see what happens. Then we have Nelson Pohl. I think he has more potential than the guy we actually signed. He's an invitee to camp. I think that they may end up signing him and cutting the other guy in Wegbu, whatever his name is. Yeah, I think Nelson Pohl's got a good shot. Look at that lean. That lean and that punch. Very nice. And then Al-Fahim Walcott from Arkansas. I think that he's got potential as a safety. He can make this roster maybe. It's a long shot, but he can make the roster depending on what they decide to do with DeMar Hamlin. So if you brought in Cole Bishop, you have Mike Edwards and Taylor Rapp. That's 3. DeMar Hamlin's 5 if you count Cam Lewis, who's your backup slot and backup safety. This guy could potentially make it in there as safety 4, and then you can dedicate Cam Lewis straight up to corner and special teams. So it's possible. We'll see what happens. But guys, that is that part of the show. If you guys have questions, I have a few minutes to answer it if you want. Otherwise, the show will be over. And this is just to cover the guys that, no one else is going to cover. I don't know. I don't see anybody else looking at the undrafted free agents and giving you a breakdown of those guys. I decided to do that because I think it's important that we know who we potentially have on this team. I thought that it was very important for the Bills to look at the guys who we had at minicamp and see if any of those guys have a chance. And I think 2 of them do. I think Walcott and I think Paul both have a shot. Hamlin can go. Great story. It's over now. Look, I would love to see us cut him and him go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, play for his hometown team for a couple years, and right off into the sunset. That injury was scary, and it looked like last year he still hadn't recovered fully from it. Like maybe he was nervous. But I'd like to see him go be a Steeler. If I was in the NFL and I was drafted to the freaking Houston Texans, and then I wasn't that good, but I was good enough to make their roster, and they said, hey, do you want to be here or where would you rather play? And I'd say, I want to go home to Buffalo. If I'm making the minimum and I'm just on the roster, make me a Bill, baby. Send me home. Send me to where I want to be. Send me to the team whose logo I wear when I'm not at work. Send me to this team right here. And that's possibly what he's looking at, you know. Maybe, I don't know. He's a professional athlete, so he doesn't have the same perspective I have. So we'll see. I can see the Bills going for a guy like Metcalf if he's available. His cap hits $13 million in a trade. Wood could be manageable with a restructure in addition to the $10 million we get from Trey post June 1st. Yeah, I think that they could go after a DK, but is he on the trade market for real, though? Like where are we getting that from? Like, I've heard no official anything about DK Metcalf. If I'm the Seahawks, he's one of the last guys I'm trying to part with. Like, that to me is insanity. He's got 2024 and 2025 left on his contract. If we did get DK Metcalf, he is technically a 1-year rental. He's a cap hit this year for the Chiefs of $24.5 million. That's their cap hit. But his guarantees or his dead cap is 36. Are they eating all that to get rid of DK Metcalf? Like, I don't know if they're eating all that to get rid of DK. That's crazy. Let me check out on the cap. Maybe that's more over the cap. Excuse me. If that's more manageable, because that's insane to me. DK Metcalf, wide receiver. Okay, so if they cut him this year, they lose out on 3 points. It's the exact same thing as the Diggs move. You know, if he was on our roster, he was like $24 million, but then if we cut him, the dead money is, you know, $28 million. That's $3.5 million more than they would have paid him to be there. So they're going to have to pay him $3.5 million more to not be a Seahawk. I don't see that happening. His guaranteed salary this year is $13 million. They would have to eat the remainder. His cap number is 24.5. Let's see. If they trade him post June 1, they say, oh, that's much better. So if they trade him post June 1st, their cap savings is $17 million, and their dead money is $7.5 million. So, okay. Post June 1st, that's doable. Post June 1st, that's doable. Okay. I see that now. I love having that button. We can't afford Metcalf. We can afford him if we extend him. But, you know, I don't know if that's going to happen. They wouldn't cut him, though. They would trade him, save the $13 million this year. Post June 1st, they trade him $17 million. Yeah, they would have to eat 17. Or they would save 17 and have to eat the 13. But yeah, I could see that happening. Well, they would eat half of 13, which is 7.5. 7.5. Like, those numbers don't add up to me. Yeah, $7.5 million in dead cap money this year, 7.5 next year. Because his guaranteed money is, that doesn't make any damn sense. Because 7.5 and 7.5 is 15. Is it? Yeah, 15. The 7 and 7 is 14, so 15. Yeah. All right. Well, those numbers don't make sense to me. So I would say he's probably worth a third. If Diggs is 31 years old. DK is 20. Where is his age? He's 27 this year. Diggs is 30, so for a guy that much younger, yeah. Metcalf can get effed. He's a cancer and bully in the NFL. I don't know how he's those things. If you have some information on that, send it. He'll be 27 for the season. He's 26 now, but he'll be 27 for the season. Yeah, they could trade him this year to us, and yeah, possible. But guys, that is my show. You guys take care. Austin Erickson, if you can, go ahead and on X at TFP Rican. Send me whatever information you have. But I have not heard anything bad about DK Metcalf. Is he a bully on the field? Yeah. Is he supposed to be? Yeah, he's freaking 6'4", 227 pounds. So If you're complaining about that, then you're complaining about the wrong thing. Because if you think that our boy that we just drafted in Keon Coleman isn't going to be the same thing, you are out of your mind. He is a bully when it comes to run blocking, and he's a bully at the top of the catch point. So if you don't think we got that in him, and then in Chase Claypool when it's time to run block, so long as he's motivated, yeah, we're looking to be some damn bullies. We're not looking to get bullied out here. Yeah, on the football field, bully is a good thing. I'll take it. And I've never heard anything about him being a locker room cancer or anything like that. So I've seen nothing but clips of him being a nice guy. So you have to send me some information about him being a cancer and a bully. But guys, you guys have a blessed night. That's my time. Go Bills. And as usual, God bless you and your families. I'm out of here.